Going questions.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Again, after watching tapes, a lot of what we talked about after the game in terms of assessing, the performance, a lot of stuff showed up in a positive manner in terms of competing, in terms of playing well at the line of scrimmage and handling the environment. And then the stuff that didn't show up very well was miscues on special teams in the red zone, some penalties, and obviously a costly turnover. That being said, addressed it in practice today and started taking our preparation towards our opponent this week in Middle Tennessee, a team that's obviously done really well offensively and been very disruptive defensively. So that being said, questions please.
Mario, DJ Skate left the game with an injury. I didn't get a chance to see if he came back in or not, but what's his status going to be?
He didn't come back in the game, but he was capable at the very end to do so. He sprained his ankle a little bit. He was already practicing today and looked good.
You talked about the play at the line of scrimmage, and obviously it's something you really have stressed since the day you got hired. How important was a game like that on Saturday to kind of give you a benchmark of where you guys are at and get the kind of play out there that you want?
Well, it shows progress. We think they're a really good offensive line. They're a really good defensive line. We wanted to establish a run and protect the quarterback. Our quarterback got hit 5 times, but didn't get sacked. We sacked their quarterback 3 times. We hit him 12 times. So there's progress there. We also had some penalties that hurt us down in the red zone that put us behind the 6 for a little bit. But again, there's progress. It's not where we want to be, but in terms of matching intensity and matching physicality, there's definitely progress.
You mentioned the penalties, but what were the other takeaways from the red zone why touchdowns weren't had?
Lack of execution, and we have to continue to design things and coach things better. I don't think you point a finger at anybody. That's not our program. It's not what we do. You own it completely as an organization, and so collectively we have to come up with a better way to score points. Yep, we hurt ourselves with penalties. There might have been a miscue here and there, but all in all, you just got to take it entirely as an offense and get better.
There were obviously drops in the game, and from that and beyond, receivers and having to fill the void for X being out.
Yeah, we threw the ball 41 times. I think there were 21 completions. We had, I think, 6 or 7 drops. It wasn't all the wide receivers. But it's something that, we've been working on. It's not like it goes by the wayside. It's not like you correct it by saying catch the ball. There's been a lot of work, a lot of time invested in it. We're not getting all the results that we want yet. There has been some progress in some areas. Not having Xavier Restrepo is obviously very, he's a very productive player, and in more ways than one, he's excellent for culture as well. And he drives that room, and in his absence, we have to find a way to elevate the entire room, our level of play, our culture, our intensity, and our level of performance. So that's on all of us as an organization.
How do you feel Tyler is settling into this new offense through 3 games now?
I think he's done pretty well. I do. And I think we have to continue to improve the supporting cast. I think we're starting to protect well. Game 2, we didn't protect very well. Game 1 was very productive. Game 2 had its moments. Game 3 had its moments. We got to do a better job overall as coaches and as players to make sure that we give the quarterback the best chance to be successful.
Mario, John Campbell graded out, I think, almost a 90 grade in pass blocking. How have you seen him come along since he's kind of gotten a chance to prove himself in the starting rotation?
Hard worker, physical, tough. It means a lot to him. Invests a lot of time. He's all about technique and fundamentals, and you could coach him really, really hard, which is important. And how we're trying to progress the line of scrimmage. Takes a lot of pride in his work. It's an honor to have that guy here. He's really proved himself to be a very valuable member of this football program.
Coach, Jacoby George had those 2 catches in his first game back. How has he looked, coming off that suspension, and how do you see him progressing this season?
Well, certainly he helped us in the game some, but has a lot of stuff to improve upon as well. And he is a guy that we're going to continue to push and progress and demand more of. And we're going to demand more of the entire wide receiver room, but we're going to help coach them and elevate them. I don't think you just sit back and say, hey, you guys got to do better. That's not it. It's our job, everyone in this organization, to help elevate that group, to make sure that the type of performance that we want to demand of that group is accompanied by encouragement, is accompanied by technique and fundamental work and practice reps that lead to a better result. So obviously we're counting on everybody in that room to get better.
Mario, Rashard Smith, can you comment on him a little? I know he had a tough time for the last offensive play. How is the mental part now and getting over all that?
Well, it's real simple. You better get over it. I mean, if you're affected by all the outside noise, you're going to have a tough time with this profession, right? This profession is very thankless and could be rough if you let the outside noise get to you. He's young, and I think he wants to do well. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm not mad at him. I'm disappointed for him. I know he's disappointed in terms of that. He is improving tremendously, and the only disappointment would be if a guy like that doesn't go out and spend every waking moment in the film room and every waking moment catching extra footballs. Because that's always made players at Miami a lot better, right? Guys that invest time and do their work. He's a good person. He's a talented player. He's growing. He is young. We put a lot on him in the absence of Restrepo, and he's handled some of it really well, and the rest we got to help him get better at.
Mario, the blocked field goal, was low trajectory on the kick, just a good play by the defensive player. What did you kind of see there?
I'd say both. They got penetration, they got some knockback, and the kick was low. So it was a low trajectory. They're about 1.5 yards deep. Typically we get a little bit better lift, but typically we also get better, stand up at the line of scrimmage as well. So a combination of both, and obviously a very big play in the game. We were 3 for 5 on field goals for the day.
How do you feel your team handled that environment, not playing in games like that in a long time? How do you feel they handled that environment?
They handled it well. I don't think the noise. Let me be set there. I think they're an awesome environment. I think Texas A&M does a great job on game day. Their fans are behind it 100%. They do a really, really good job. But I don't think it played a factor in the game. We did jump off sides one time. Whether that be due to noise or not, I don't know. Hard to tell because we didn't have any other ones like that. But in terms of handling the environment, I thought they did really well in most especially at the line of scrimmage. I thought those guys, they handled it really well. And we're going to have to get better because we're going to play other talented teams in the conference. And one of the biggest messages to our team is because we played a tight game on the road and gave ourselves a chance to tie or win at the end, doesn't automatically mean you're going to play well going forward, right? A lot of lessons to be learned, and you can't get better, right, unless you legitimately look at your mistakes and learn from them. And you certainly can't get better if you keep living in the past. So we got to shake this off, right, and get to work and get better at the things that make practice elite. Practice has been good, and it's been getting better. We got to make practice elite.
Mario, the receiver rotation, you got a lot of guys in there obviously getting snaps, but at any point, is there a thought to paring it down? Maybe that'll help Tyler with his timing, etc., getting passes out to guys, or do you like having sort of a deep, group to go?
Like having the best guys on the field, and until we find out who that is, we got to keep trying whatever we need to get those guys on there. We're not there yet, that's obvious. You watch ball. Where do we need to improve? We need to improve there. We need to improve there quickly, and I think we have the capability to do so. And we have to continue to be really, really good leaders and really good coaches, and find ways to make guys better and find ways to make it work so we can improve and have a better offensive performance. 9 points for us is not acceptable.
Coach, can you talk about defensively, 3 games in, where your group is, and maybe the biggest improvements from game 1 till now?
If we can solve our issues in the first drive of the game, we can say that we're doing some really good things defensively. I feel like 3 straight games, right? Drive number 1 has been something that's been a bit of an issue, but I think the entire defense is they're in a good place mentally in terms of adapting to this style of playing assignment football. In fact, most of the missed tackles, almost 66% of them, were due to us jumping out of a gap, trying to make a play instead of working our assignment. So our numbers could be even better. But I think you see the progress week after week of we're getting better at tackling, right? Our missed tackles were due to jumping out of a gap and creating a monster hole. Our line of scrimmage play, the defensive line is certainly improving. They're disrupting the quarterback. They're pressing the pocket. The linebackers are starting to get better. We're playing a lot of guys at linebacker as well. And probably the biggest jump this last week was the secondary, where we played much tighter in coverage. And guys did a really good job in playing man, and for the most part having success playing man coverage. So all in all, just progress, steady progress, and a lot of potential. There's still a lot of room to grow.
Coach, Will Mallory had his most productive game against A&M. Has it been an emphasis to get him more involved in the offense?
It always has been. You know, sometimes the ball doesn't get spit out that way. I think if you watch this from spring through fall and all the scrimmages, the tight ends were touching the ball as much or more than anybody else. It didn't go that way the first 2 games. That wasn't by design. You know, the ball just happened to be spit out and wherever they gave us an access to or where coverage, you know, dictated where the ball should go. So, but he's a great player, and certainly when he touches the ball, we're a lot better of a football team, and we have to keep identifying our best playmakers, developing better playmakers, and get the ball in their hands. You know, it's that simple, and so that's what the emphasis of the week is on.
And then I was just wondering if you had an update on how the recovery process of Don Cheney Jr. has been coming along.
It's been coming along well. I think, man, I hate to give you an exact date. I think he's still probably 6, 7, 8 weeks away. Okay, he will be back at some point this season. I'd go conservative 8 and pushing the envelope a little bit 6.
Middle Tennessee State, their defense creates a lot of sacks, tackles for loss. What do they do well that makes them effective in that regard?
They're disruptive movement, right? Some of the stuff that affected us in week 2, they move around a bunch. I think they're tops in the country in either negative plays or sacks, maybe both. Either way, they're top 5 in those categories. They have explosive players, very twitchy players up front. They run a really good scheme. You know, they do a good job disguising their coverages. They do a good job disguising their pressures, and when they bring it, they know where to go. And they're an experienced group with some good football players, and they score a lot of points too. So they feed off of each other. It's a team that plays well together.